This episode of Teen Mom 2 starts with Brianna. While they're doing the opening scenery, they show a gator in the water, so we know we're in Florida before they even show her name. Anyway, she meets with Dr. Miami to fix her massive fat ass that he gave her in the first place. Roxanne and Brianna talk, and Roxanne says Javi asked for her blessing to marry Brianna. Brianna is so deeply in love with Javi that she face palms when she hears this news. Clearly, she's just overcome with emotion. She notes that Roxanne didn't even try to keep it a secret or surprise, but honestly, she should be glad that she didn't have that reaction in front of Javi, though it probably wouldn't have even deterred him. Brianna dodges the subject of marriage and says it's nobody's business. Roxanne freaks and says, "Stop that, I need to know!" Babying 24-year-old Brianna as usual, but Brianna is not saying much still. Chelsea announces her third pregnancy in the next scene. It's very new and they just found out. Congratulations to her. Over at Janelle's, we see a hand-sized hole in the wall about David's height, but no one says anything about it. Gee, I wonder who in this household has anger issues bad enough to punch a wall. Kaiser? Jace? Oh yeah, he doesn't live with Janelle. Probably David. Someone is knocking on the door, and it turns out to be a sheriff. Janelle's super fake producer is all like, "Oh God, who called the cops? How could this be?" Knowing damn well she probably called them herself to cause drama. The sheriff is knocking like crazy, and an unfortunately shirtless David comes out to ask the sheriff if he has a warrant. The cop says he's there because someone called to do a wellness check on the children. David says, "Go to the daycare then, go to CPS. Because why would the kids be at home? Mommy and Daddy clearly have to work all day." Just kidding, they're lazy losers. David suspects Nathan called them, and he says, "Let me get a hold of Nathan and I'll bust his head open." Because that's the kind of things you should be yelling with a cop right outside your door. With Kale's many kids comes much custody drama, and she is in court yet again this episode. Joe filed for 50-50 custody, and they have mediation about it. Afterwards, Kale says she feels like she's in a good place now and out of 2 toxic relationships. She says she's going to stay away from loser boys. Though she didn't stay away from girls because Kale, never not in some sort of relationship, was actually supposedly seeing Dom around this time. And Dom claims she cheated on her and almost gave her STDs, so she really wasn't as drama-free as she was claiming. A stray dog has been roaming around Corey's neighborhood, and Leah's girls noticed it and wanted it. So Leah let the dog in the trunk and decided to take it home as a pet. When she took it to the vet, they found out the dog was pregnant. And soon she had puppies, so they're going to give them away to some other owners. On another note, Jeremy has been asking Leah to go on dates and maybe get back together. Leah says she doesn't love him anymore and thinks the relationship would be toxic. Javi FaceTimes Brianna. He says that it's hard to explain, but he suddenly isn't deployed anymore. He said there was a loophole and doesn't know how to explain it to her because it won't make sense to her. Okay, so one of 2 things is happening here. A, he believes, probably accurately, that Brianna's too stupid to comprehend why he wasn't deployed. Or B, he's lying his ass off, he was never getting deployed, and only said that to add a sense of urgency to why she should agree to marry him. And I'm leaning towards option B. Brianna seems to care more about her upcoming surgery than this. Although Javi claims they broke up because he didn't want her surgery being filmed and put on Snapchat, in reality, here he actually promises to take care of her after the surgery. Brianna just tells him to stop trying to kiss her ass. Deep down, she probably knows he isn't being honest with her. She tells Shirley about the proposal to get her opinion. She questions the timing of it all and says they never talked about marriage much at all before this. She wants a romantic proposal and jokingly says she wants a mariachi band there. Chelsea is taking photos of Watson for his first birthday and says it's nice to get out of the house. Yeah, I'm sure it is. It's probably the first time she left the house in weeks. The sheriff is still hanging around Janelle's house. She asks him to leave and she says, "We have been harassed by everyone on the internet and now you. CPS only came here 20 times because of 20 reports and never found anything." Whoa, whoa, whoa. Did this chick just brag about having 20 CPS reports filed on her? Like, my mind is blown. Is that supposed to be a good thing? That's more Child Protective Services reports than Janelle has mugshots, and that's saying something. David gets mad at Janelle and tells her not to carry on conversations with the police, probably because he doesn't want her talking to them about him. She blames Nathan or Twitter haters on making the phone call. David says he's going to beat up Nathan and violate his face with his fist. Watch out, David. The only thing that's going to violate is the law, and you'll find yourself probably seeing that sheriff once again. After mediation, it turns out nothing changed with Isaac. Kale says she'll do shared placement with Joe if he does his part by taking Isaac to his extracurriculars. Joe actually walks out of the courtroom, and the first thing he does is hug Kale, surprisingly. He says he tries to hug her every time they come out of court, and when she awkwardly asks why, he says he needs hugs. They actually have a decent conversation, and agree to try to keep things out of court from here on out. Brianna goes to visit Javi. However, MTV shows a message that they weren't able to be filmed because they had access issues. Brianna doesn't seem to have any problem giving guys access issues to her, and we know Javi loves the cameras, so it's not clear exactly why they couldn't film. Possibly because they didn't film, according to Brianna, Javi didn't even get down on one knee when he proposed to her, nor did he do anything romantic. Pretty much just handed her the ring and said, "Here, marry me." Brianna responded that she wanted to wait and that he was rushing. She thinks it's for the lifestyle of people in the military, and she doesn't know if he will wait for her. Leah and her girls go out to give away one of their puppies. She says they're going to make the adoptees sign a contract to neuter the puppy. Maybe the Teen Mom girls should have signed that contract for themselves when they started season 1. No, I'm just kidding. The girls play with the puppies in the front yard for a bit before driving to some people to give them away. The girls are a little sad, but glad to hear that the new owners will text them pictures of the puppy. Chelsea and Cole leave to take Aubrey to school. They're running late, and Chelsea goes off on Cole for a little bit for forgetting something. They're halfway there and running out of gas and forgot Aubrey's backpack. Chelsea says this is the most stressful moment of her life, though that might be a little bit of an exaggeration there. Janelle, for once, is out alone without David and just with her friend. She's stressed about their house cracking and says the sheriff coming was hard because David is not used to his parenting being judged. She says David is normally laid back, which is delusion if I've ever heard it. Kale talks to Bone and says 50-50 custody is always going to bother her because she's always had the kids more often, but she isn't mad about it in particular. Roxanne is out eating with Brianna. She said she gave her blessing thinking that Javi was going to be deployed, but now that he isn't, she's suspicious. She feels that he is rushing, and she does not like how Javi tried to get Brianna to move to Delaware. She says Javi's just trying to have both Brianna and Kale conveniently close to him. But also, we know that Roxanne just doesn't want Brianna to ever detach from her hip. Brianna in Delaware means no Brianna in Orlando, and that probably means no more rent getting paid. It would totally mess up their codependent dynamic, so Roxanne is doing everything she can to manipulate Brianna into staying in Florida. She even says, "His dick ain't big enough to be doing that. This is why I watch this show. I guess we know now how Javi convinced her to give her blessings." Roxanne starts crying, but Brianna sees past this manipulation and says Roxanne is being dramatic and doing too much. Chelsea got a sonogram of her baby. After making ignorant comments on Twitter, MTV announces that David has been fired from the show. Oh man, he was such a charming guy. I'm sure we'll all miss him dearly. MTV issued in their statement on Twitter, and Janelle refused to film after that. Since Janelle wouldn't film, they decided to film Barbara's perspective. Barbara says she is enjoying retirement and hasn't talked to Janelle. That's probably a necessity for her to enjoy her retirement. She says Janelle posting the picture of her with the gun on the day of the high school shooting was a coincidence, because she knows Janelle and David don't watch the news. Damn, Barbara, roast your own ignorant daughter. But although the gun posting wasn't intentional, Barbara still knows they weren't apologetic, and she thinks David is trash for not supporting the LGBT community. She also doesn't believe Janelle shares those views, she just goes along with what David says. And that's all for this episode of Teen Mom 2. Why do you think Roxanne is so adamant that Brianna not move away? And does Janelle really have a right to complain about the sheriff coming to her house? Let me know what you thought of this episode, and make sure to subscribe for Teen Mom recaps every week.